It's always difficult saying goodbye to a parent in a dementia unit, especially if you're going back overseas and you don't know when you'll see them again. But to stave off the emotions, it really is a good idea to put your energy into making decisions to best help the quality of life of your parent in the dementia unit. For example, if you find that you can see that they're not getting outside enough, either to walk or for walks in the wheelchair, outings in the wheelchair, organise, say, for the grandkids to come in and take your parent out for a walk. Or the other good thing to do, if you're overseas, which always works and really helps reduce the stress of not seeing you, is regular daily phone calls. Really, that's one of the best things in terms of keeping up the connection with your parent. They absolutely love that. It will reassure them and calm them down and reduce stress all round, both for the staff and the resident themselves, because so often dementia residents' stress builds up to such a peak trying to get phone calls out of a dementia unit and get in touch with their family. It's one of the highest levels, but one of the biggest triggers of stress in a dementia unit is trying to phone out to the family and not being able to reach them for many reasons, often because the charge nurse is so busy to make them, because there's such a queue of people wanting to make the phone call. And then indeed, when the phone call is made, the person's often not available to speak to the dementia resident. So all around, it's incredibly demanding. A regular daily phone call is one of the best things you can do to support your parent in a dementia unit. You know, it's just takes the weight off their shoulders, and also the staff can then say, if the dementia resident is asking to phone you, they can say, look, your son is phoning, or your daughter is phones every day at 6 o'clock, so you won't need to call them because the regular phone calls coming in. So of course the parent will be happy with that, and the staff will be happy with that, because then they've got less people to attend to in the queue trying to get hold of, you know, their relatives, friends and family. So say, for example, the day has arrived for you as the son saying goodbye to your mother, and how to manage that. It's always difficult saying goodbye. It's emotive, you know, it's stressful. But if you put things in place well for your mother, for the week that you've been there on holiday, not holiday, but to help her, excuse me, and you've got everything set up. You've brought in the mohair rug, you've got the heater on board because it's getting cold now, it's winter, and you noticed she didn't have a heater. She didn't have a rug for her knees. You bought a mohair rug for her knees. You've got pictures on the wall, whiteboard up on the wall, and you've organised for the grandkids to come in to take her for walks in the wheelchair in the village grounds. Now, that was a bit of a mission organising that, but you'd had the birthday party, you'd talked to the grandkids, and you'd been taking your mother out for walks in the village grounds in the wheelchair successfully. It was actually a big coup, because you found a wheelchair in the unit that wasn't rusty, that had good solid tyres that weren't flat. It was comfortable for your mother too, that being the main thing. It was for a smaller size. The wheelchair was built for a smaller sized person, so it was easy to manoeuvre. So what you decided to do at the birthday party was to get one of the grandkids who got on especially well with your mother, and you knew that she'd be warm-hearted enough and generous enough to come on the weekends to take her for a walk in the wheelchair at least once a week until you come back to see your mother. So what you decided to do is you got the grandchild in, say her name was Emma, and she took your mother for a trial walk in the gardens. Now, it was a good idea to do that trial walk because firstly, she'd never used a wheelchair before. She'd never wheeled anyone in a wheelchair. She didn't know anything about it. So having been an orderly at the hospital yourself, you instructed her as to when the person sits in the wheelchair that you've got to put the brakes on, both brakes on before they sit down, because otherwise they can sit down, and if the brakes aren't on in the wheelchair can just slip back and the person can have a fall. So brakes on, getting your mother you know, sitting in the chair nicely. So Emma did all that. Then you instructed that, okay, you have to ask your mother to lift her foot, lift her knee, lift her leg. And when she lifts the leg, then you put down the plate of the right hand footrest of the wheelchair. So she did that well. Same other side. Lift the knee, mum. Wheelchair foot gets put underneath it. You know, the foot that goes down. So your grandmother's foot can go on top. The foot plates, that's what they're called. Sorry, I've forgotten. The wheelchair foot plates. Put the wheelchair foot plate down and your mother's feet rest nicely on that. Sit back, mum, sit back. Okay. You know, and armrests to relax the arms on, and then she's all set. So with this sort of trial wheelchair experience, Emma was pretty fit and strong. So she had no trouble manoeuvring the wheelchair up and down the curbs and around and about. And all around it was a great success. I mean, you showed Emma that if it was a wet day, you could go through the hospital, which had a long corridor. It's not that attractive, but anyway, your mother's quite happy to see all the sick people in the beds. She waved to everyone. Actually, she quite liked that, going to the hospital, funnily enough. Your mother quite liked waving to all the people in the hospital beds and in the lounge. I think she'd been a nurse when you thought about it. Well, not a nurse, but a carer when she was a lot younger. So it must have brought back those memories. And she enjoyed seeing the pictures on the corridor. All along the corridor, they had beautiful big framed pictures of the Mediterranean. Always seem to be the Mediterranean pictures for some reason, rather than New Zealand. But anyway, and elephants from Africa were another one. Anyway, not sure how the elephants of Africa got there, but Mediterranean and African elephants were, and other African animals were there as well. And the Tower of Peace, you know, the Eiffel Tower, that was there, that's always one. And St. Peter's, that was another one for all the Catholic ladies. Anyway, all these pictures your mother loved. And so she liked to stop at the pictures and have a talk about the pictures. So you explained all this to Emma, that, you know, your mother did like to stop and look at the pictures and to talk about the pictures with her. And it was good for her thinking and her engagement. She'd travelled, she'd been to Europe herself and on the great big ship liner when she was about 22 for her big OE. So she'd been to some of these places, and it was good to bring back those past memories to be able to discuss these. So Emma was very good about this, you know, she loved chatting to Granny and all the rest of it. So, okay, so look, you'd organised all the wheelchair trips. Emma said she's happy to come on the weekends after school sometimes when she can to take Granny for a trip out in her wheelchair. And you had organised with work that, you know, you were going to get a transfer to come back. But the big thing that you had organised with your mother was that you were going to phone at 6 o'clock every night. No, not 6 o'clock, sorry, 2 o'clock, because lunchtime you always had a big lunch. It was a pretty flexi hours, so you could phone at lunch pretty easily each day, being sort of self-employed pretty much. So you said to your mother when you were saying goodbye, look, Mum, be strong. I'm going now, but I'm going to be back in a month or two because I'm getting a work transfer. Oh, Matt, I'm so happy about that. So be strong. I'm going to be coming back. Emma's going to come each weekend to take you out for a walk in the wheelchair. So it's all set up. Everything's okay. You know, your room's lovely now. It's warm. You've got beautiful pictures there. And I know that you're enjoying looking out at the gardens and things. And Emma will take you out into the garden. So you'll get that fresh air and sunshine. And also, I'm going to be phoning you every day at 2 o'clock so that we can keep connected. Oh, Matt, that's so wonderful. I'm so happy you're doing that because I feel so lost otherwise. Yeah, 2 o'clock every day. I'll be making the phone call, so we'll keep in touch. So everything's organised, it's all sorted, and I'll be seeing you in a month or two when I come back. Farewell. Lots of love, that's it. So I have written the 2 books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. Letting you know, for those that are new to this channel, I'm Pieta Valentine, a former physio, and I've written these books about everything needed for dementia residents going into dementia units to help them settle and manage So thank you so much for your looks and your likes, and please subscribe to this channel if you find these topics of interest and value. Thank you.